I'm saying? All right. So anyway, yo, what up, what up, what up? And welcome everybody. Welcome, man. Listen, it's Tom P's and Pnoid News. I'm here with my boy TK Mao. I'm gonna tell you what, dude, legit. Yo, this I used to love this channel. It's called The Stuff They Don't Want You to Know. And it used to be about like government conspiracies and like exposing deep state plots and things of this nature. And it was awesome. TK, remember this channel?
Yeah, I remember.
It was a pretty cool channel, right? Like it was all right. Like it wasn't like it was kind of campy. You know what I mean? Because like they talked like remember they talked in that dark room, like all X-Files type of shit. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, but that's kind of the appeal of that type of thing, especially as long as they're actually being on point. Then yeah, you can ham it up as much as you want. I mean, Alex Jones proved that a number of times when he was screaming about the gay frogs, and people make fun of him, but now everybody knows about atrazine.
I feel you, right? I mean, but that's great. You know, I mean, like these individuals, they were the same type of people. Like, you know, they were talking about the secret societies and, like the ex CIA like military ops that they had, and MK Ultra and the heart attack guns and all this stuff. And that was pretty cool, right? Like, legit, I liked, you know what I'm saying, this channel. But recently, this channel has turned into like the stuff the government does want you to know. Like it's literally a mouthpiece for the deep state and normies. It's literally just a channel for normies made by normies, and it's awful. Like, do you want to get started in this video and see how terrible it gets just to begin with?
Sure, but I'm gonna need another drink.
Okay, well, go get your drink. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, if you're gonna need another dish.
I've got it in hand.
Okay, good. All right, good. Okay, let's rock and roll.
From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know.
And we're back. All right. So do you remember this article that they came out with?
Yeah. I think it was originally called like the Libertarian to Alt-Right Pipeline or something like that.
Yeah. Like, and it had like, I was highly upset. I was not on that spider web of people that they had on there.
I know, right? And
like, I have been on a bunch of these channels. Damn it! I talk to these people. Why am I not on these things? Yo, Ed, what up, nigga?
Hey, what's up, man?
Yo, you into my circle? Yeah, you into my circle?
No. I don't know what that is.
You should probably, I put it in the Discord, man.
So work on a phone?
I hope so.
Probably not.
Well, it'll work on the phone.
Probably not at the same time as Discord.
It will. It'll work. It'll be fine. All right, just go hit my circle. You know what I mean? Hang out. You know what I mean? Like, yo, we're talking about this terrible, horrible, awful YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
That used to be really cool.
And to the uninitiated with the Libertarian to Alt-Right Pipeline, what they're using to cite the fact that people go, from basically the idea is that if you're online and you're kind of like a centrist type individual, what you're going to see is you're going to see content creators do collaborations with people who are to the left and to the right of them. And their basic thesis is that because that everyone does like cooperates with somebody to the left and to the right with them, that viewers will inevitably just keep going right, which that's obviously wrong, considering the fact that, to be honest, when we were doing the blood sports type of days, there was an Overton window forming. Like, Wignats were cringe and dumb, and the communists were cringe and dumb, and then there was this kind of like middle ground that I was kind of referring to with the Overton window there, where you would get people who were shit posting, but there was also some actual like legitimate conversations in there. And what they basically did was that they mapped out everyone who had done collaborations with each other and then used the most extreme far right wing people to basically guilt by association this entire network. And I'm pretty convinced that it was entirely a bad faith ploy, considering that I'm pretty sure that I don't remember the exact position, but the person who actually did that research now has a position in government.
Well, let me also say, like, a lot of the reasons that, like, the libertarian or, like, and I mean centrist to alt-right pipeline actually does really happen is because the left wing's ideologies are bad, right? And that on top of that, like, okay, how do I put this? I have progressives I respect, right? I do. Like, a lot of people don't like Jimmy Dore. I like Jimmy Dore. I just respect his principles as a man, right? Because at least at bare minimum, the motherfucker stands up for free speech, right? And then the problem is, though, is that you have these left-wing people who don't like free speech, right? Where they're like, oh man, you got to shut that thought down because it's racist or because it's xenophobic or because, it doesn't, include everybody or whatever the case is. And that's a garbage way to handle things. Like, if your idea is good, it should, it has a sound foundation, then, you should argue it. And if it doesn't, then maybe you shouldn't, maybe your idea should get its ass kicked on the playground of ideas, which is what YouTube and all this internet stuff is, right? There's a reason why, I win arguments on YouTube. There's a reason why, guys like me gain traction. It's because I have good arguments and I'm sound and I'm logical and I'm passionate about what I say. And people like that. The people on the left don't have that. And that's kind of a problem, legitimately, right? But we're gonna get into this, and that's what really that whole, shutting down. That's why they're trying to shut down free speech, is because they can't win the argument because their fucking ideas are wrong and they're dumb. So, all right, Ed, you there, nigga?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's stand here, man. Let's see if you can actually hear the video or at least watch it, whatever. Hearing is just fine, too.
And we're back with our final listener mail segment of today's episode. This one comes from Amy. And I think the subject line says it all. Alt-right pipeline, gaming, YouTube, TikTok. Hi, gang. Love the show. Thank you for all of your hard work and research. I was chatting with my college-aged 19-year-old daughter the other night. With all the news about the Capitol riot, we were discussing alt-right and where the heck they came from. She mentioned something that is apparently very well known in her age group about the alt-right pipeline from gaming to YouTube to TikTok and the algorithm that connects or channels typically white young men to these groups. Have you looked into this, or do you plan to? I think the short answer is this absolutely deserves, we've talked about the YouTube algorithm and the way that can be it can create some very interesting results because, like you said, Ben, either on this episode or on the last one we recorded today, it is the job of sites like Twitter, like Reddit, like Facebook to keep people tangled in their ecosystem for as long as possible. So it behooves them to give people recommendations that are engaging, and oftentimes divisive content is engaging, whether you're just looking at it from kind of like a rubbernecky kind of, just absolutely curiosity kind of perspective, or which is how a lot of this starts, let's not forget. But then you go down the rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole, and before you know it, you could be indoctrinated. And
all right, my friends. Ed, did you hear it by chance?
Yeah, I did.
Yo, TK, nigga, what do you think?
I think that any one of the three of us probably has more testosterone than the three of them put together, first of all. Now that we've gotten that ad hom out of the way.
Yo, I hit the wrong button. I was laughing and I hit play by accident. Yo, he said these are some low T males right here. Like, yo, and why is he leaning on that microphone so hard? Like, yo, legit. Like, yo, he's French kissing that mic. Like, yo, dude, what is your settings at that you need to French kiss that mic like that? Legitimately. Yo, you're not wrong. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead, dude. Go ahead. Keep going.
All right, and kind of for the uninitiated here, which I'm betting it's not a whole lot of your audience, but for the sake of posterity, the reason why gaming has had this like reputation of being like white male focused and that type of thing is because like that's the largest single demographic in America as far as disposable income is concerned. Like it used to be called the key demographic, the white male, young men, because they're the people who have jobs, they're making money, and they don't yet have, families. And so they are the target. They are the biggest, ripest target for basically everything that has to target disposable income. That's why you see expensive muscle cars. That's why you see all sorts of bullshit. That's why you see sports, yada, yada, yada. And what gaming did was it just targeted those people, except it targeted their free time in a way that nothing else did. And what happened was around like I'm gonna say 2012-ish. I forget the exact timeline. You see something called Gamergate crop up, which is basically the prototype for all of the media bullshit that we've been seeing over the last like 5 or 10 years or so. And when I say prototype, I mean it's literally where they built their template of just calling whoever disagrees with them a racist and all that nonsense. Because gaming media was the first place where basically all this social justice nonsense crept into a point where it actually started harming its reach.
All right, can I step in here for a second and explain like, I think I have a little bit better idea of what really happened with like that whole gaming thing. All right, so here's the thing with young males in particular, right?
Go for it.
And it doesn't matter whether it's white males or black males. It really doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, the black males just play different games than white males. So usually like black males are like sports and, I mean, like basketball, NBA, 2K, Madden, Fight Night. If they'll ever bring out a new Fight Night, please bring out a new Fight Night. If anybody from EA is watching this, I want to play Fight Night. I missed that game, right? Yo, as a boxer.
You miss Fight Night too. You missed Fight Night too.
Yeah, it was a great game. It was a great game. Anyway, right? But, like, all right. So, but all these males are, what they are is they're individuals with higher levels of testosterone and they want to compete. But the problem is we have a society that kind of frowns upon that. And most of them are working jobs where they're not really competing on that level of where physically they're having the same type of, they're not having the same basic structure that you would have in like sports. But with gaming, you have this, right? With gaming, you have the ability, to go into wars, you go to sports, you do, and have all these competitions. And the people who win are the individuals who are the best at the game. And then what they try to do is they try to come in and start screaming racist and all these type of things at these individuals. But the problem is they go, no one's racist. Is just like, the individuals who are the best wins, and the individuals who are the best are the people are, happen to be the individuals who play this game. And the games that they were talking about were like, these like role-playing games, these RPGs, where, individuals, tend to be white males who play this. It's the same people who play Magic the Gathering or, those weirdo fucking tabletop 7, 8, 15. I don't know how many sides the dice have, right? You know what I'm saying? Whatever they are, them special dice that they buy at their fucking comic stores from the neckbeard people, right? Who look like this nigga, right? And, they started screaming racist and, immediately like, everybody kind of like gathered together as gamers and the internet went to war and won. And they're highly upset about that because they were able to beat back the tide. And, that's kind of what happened with Gamergate. But now this alt-right, this libertarian to alt-right platform thing. All right. How do we put this? So basically what the mentality is this, right? There's a problem in our society where we have really forgotten the workforce and the people who actually live here, right? And everybody kind of feels like they're being pushed out. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're black or you're Mexican or you're white or, you know what I mean, whatever, right? You feel as though, you know what I'm saying, you're not getting a fair shake. And the truth is that no one is, but no one's talking to each other, right? And the issue is that our jobs have been outsourced and they brought in immigrants to compete for labor. And now the cost of what now, like, you're not earning the paycheck you used to earn. I was talking to a dude yesterday, right, at the rail yard. And we were talking about how, like, you know, back in, you know, I mean, back when our grandparents were alive, we could, you know, I mean, they could support, you know, I mean, their family on a 40-hour work week. Right. And, you know, I mean, like, yo, he's like, yeah, you know, I mean, and like, he was a little younger than I was. I want to say he's like probably late 20s, maybe early 30s. I'm not real sure. But like, he stood here and completely agreed with me, and anybody would. But it doesn't have anything to do with them being racist. Black people feel like it's racism, you know what I mean? But white people just feel like, you know, white people feel like it's like negative racism, or, you know what I mean, like reverse racism. But it's happening to everyone, and nobody understands this, and nobody wants to have this conversation because, you know what I mean, like nobody conversates because each of us blame each other for the bullshit. And that's how we end up with this, you know what I mean, libertarian, the alt-right pipeline, to where the alt-right, you know what I mean, it's kind of like, you know, the individuals are going, oh, it's the fucking Jews. You know what I mean, when the truth of the matter is it's not. You know what I mean, it's just, you know, basically them trying to like stand here and continue the welfare state that was started in the 1940s. And, you know, it is, and it turned into this giant monstrous, colossal thing today that we can't pay for because we don't have enough money. Ed?
You're not wrong there.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, go ahead, Ed.
Oh, I gotta kind of agree with Tom right there, because the more people they bring in, the less money my labor is worth. And as someone who works manufacturing, I can see that all throughout the whole spectrum. When it comes to the Gamergate conversation, that's the first boogeyman they bring up with anything, and I do believe that's when they started referring to everyone as xenophobic, racist, etc., etc., etc. It's just, but I believe the whole alt-right pipeline thing is very over exaggerated, because I can't see someone going from watching Ben Shapiro to Hitler videos.
I feel you, but the big thing with the libertarians, from what I've seen, and this is more of a problem with like mainstream libertarianism, rather than Tom Pnoid, what you might know from XL as like Hoppian libertarianism, which is a little bit crazier. Is that the libertarians don't really have any limiting principles as far as a lot of things go. Like, a lot of them, their arguments could be used to basically turn society into Gomorrah, right? And I'm fairly sure we all agree we don't want that, right? Whether we want, you know, personal responsibility limiting that or government limiting that, we don't want Gomorrah, where where a horde of people will just show up and demand to rape an angel. Like, we don't want that.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Like, yo, my problem with libertarian always is that, so like you know, and this has always been my issue. And I think this is where like a lot of this alt-right shit comes from, is that, you know, a lot of them, so you want libertarianism, but on the same point, you want housing associations, right? It's like, yo, it's like when Rick gets fucking, like, you ever seen Rick and Morty? I'm fucking that show, right? It's like fucking one of my favorites, right? And Rick goes over to the fucking Citadel and he said a bunch of fucking Ricks got the fucking, they said a bunch of Ricks got chased by the government, so they ended up standing here and forming a fucking government. Like, don't be fucking dumb. Like, the whole point of this is to have more freedom, but like literally you limit yourself and take away more rights that you already fucking had. Like, and, you know, I think that's where a lot of that shit comes from, is because people kind of want to, like, they want to control other individuals or get away from other people, which is whatever. You know what I mean? But it just kind of gets to this mentality of, and it gets away from the mentality of families and responsibility. And that's, you know what I mean, that's a bit of a problem. But the issue isn't the fact that, like, you know what I mean, it's the alt-right. The problem is the fact that we're not having a conversation about what we should be having a conversation about, which is fatherhood and responsibility in the end of the day. Ed.
Yeah.
I figured I'd let Ed talk, but that nigga, I think he muted out. Go ahead, TK.
No, I'm right here, man.
Oh, go ahead, TK. Anyway.
All right. So, you're not wrong about the fatherhood and responsibility thing, but I think what's happening here is kind of like basically where fathers feel like they've got all the responsibility with none of the actual rights associated with it, which you could probably speak to having dealt with the family court system.
Well, it's like here's the reason why I bring that up, right? Because like if you ever hear Denzel talk, right? You know what I mean? Which the reason I bring it up because I was just watching American Gangster earlier. But like if you ever listen to Denzel talk in some of his interviews, he'll say like the same shit that I say. Like, we need fathers in the fucking community to, stand here and teach these kids right from wrong and not end up letting them stand here and, be all fucking terrible and shit. You know what I mean?
You're not wrong, but at the same point, like if we don't let dads hit their sons, then they're not going to actually be able to teach them anything.
Well, yeah, but it is what it is. All right, let's keep going with this video a little bit.
Could be indoctrinated. And it turns out this is absolutely true, that alt-right presences, we know for a fact they've used the internet with great success for radicalizing people and gathering followers and message boards and things like Stormfront websites, to various listservs and message boards and things on 4chan and 8chan that kind of get pushed off of more traditional platforms like Facebook. But we also know that
do you think maybe that's the problem? Do you think maybe that's the issue? Maybe it's not the issue of the fact that, you have these algorithms, fucking pushing, or you had these algorithms pushing people to it. Maybe it's the fact that you're banning all these people, then they end up, only being able to talk to each other.
To an echo chamber.
Yeah.
They end up going to an echo chamber where they hear all the same ideas on repeat.
Like, if you ever...
It's also worth...
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
All right. I'm going to get a bunch of shit for this, because I'm sticking up for 4chan Jannies, and that is basically a no-no here. Well, on the internet in general. But when you're talking about genuinely atrocious shit, like stuff that you would get shanked for in jail, like you're talking about pedo stuff and that type of thing, 4chan is actually the absolute gold tier best at not only getting that shit off of its site, but getting all of the information for whoever posts that type of shit to not just the federal authorities, but if you post pedo shit to 4chan, I hope you know that they will track down your IP address and send that shit to your local sheriff.
Yo, 4chan's a shit. But I also want to say this too. When you kick off all these people who espouse views that, y'all don't like, you know what I'm saying, or y'all don't find suitable for public, that you wouldn't say in a church, right? Or in a state house or at your job. That's the whole point of the internet. It's not your fucking job. You know what I mean? It isn't some local place. You can have those conversations. Right. But when you push all those people into one place, it's like taking all the criminals and putting them in one place and expecting them not to come out worse. Wonder, do we have an example? Oh, yeah. Fucking America. It's obvious that shit don't work. When you lock up juveniles in the juvenile facilities, what happens? They go the fuck back. It happens every goddamn time. You probably shouldn't be banning people off of this shit. And he's going to stand here and say that Facebook allows that shit, which is fucking nonsense. But let's keep going.
Facebook has cops to, having not enough oversight over these kinds of groups coming up. And now we're seeing the tide really turn on that with what's happened in Washington at the Capitol. And now all of these kind of hate groups being deplatformed. with things like we talked about on the last episode, like Parler. It begs the question kind of like, well, where are they going now? What's the next step? How do they kind of infiltrate these other things without being so overt about it? And the answer is exactly what Amy was talking about. They are trying to be a little more sneaky about it, and they're going on places like TikTok. TikTok, you may say? I thought that was for like lip syncs and funny dance videos. And yeah, of course, that's absolutely the bread and butter of it. But the thing about TikTok that's interesting is you can have a relatively small like following. Like my daughter, for example, loves TikTok, and she has maybe like 1,000 followers, which is a lot. I mean, like she's 12 years old. I think that's pretty cool. And she is very into it, and it's a community, and she's like met a lot of interesting people.
Your 12-year-old daughter should not have social media. Just
That's
saying.
Yo,
exactly
he
what I was
thinks
about
it's
to
pretty
say.
cool that his 12-year-old fucking daughter, you know what I'm saying, has, 1,000 people, who, probably half of them are grown ass fucking dudes standing here staring at her on a screen all day long.
Yeah, and Tom, as a father, we're both fathers to a daughter.
Yeah.
You have multiple
I
daughters.
got
That's
2 daughters.
fucking
Yeah.
disgusting.
It is, like, legitimately, like, you ever think that I would let my kid stand here and be online and, fucking talk to, like, fucking, like, anyone the fuck else? Like, you must have fell down and bumped your fucking head.
Yeah, no, I just have nieces and nephews, and I can tell you that that shit would not fly in any part of my family. It's just something that does not happen. I mean, we're somewhat protected from it, considering the fact that we don't actually have internet around here that can stream worth a shit for the most part. But
Yeah.
I don't understand why anyone lets their kid have access to the internet unless they are looking over their fucking shoulder.
Well, look
But
in the
think
background.
about
Look in the background of this dude's house.
he's got a drum set like he's probably waking his kid up at 2 in the morning.
Well, no, he has a drum set. He has a guitar. There's a fucking keyboard right there. There's a couch for hanging out with his buddies, right? Like, yo, he's not a man. Like, he hasn't put away his childish things yet.
You're not wrong, because like there are excuses you can have for each one of those things, but like if you're an actual legit musician, you have a studio for that shit, right?
Yeah, and
Like
not only that, like, yo, look, like, there's a fucking area rug underneath of that fucking drum set. There's not a goddamn, fucking, like, actual, like, drum cover and shit. There's not a floor cover. It's an area mat. Like, yo, legitimately, this dude here, like, he probably goes, oh, man, it's so cool that you're trying to be, a social media person. No, man, it's so cool, right? Because he doesn't have the balls to go, I don't care if you don't like me. That's your job as a parent sometimes, is to go, like, I don't care if you don't fucking
You
like
have
me.
to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
You have to be a bad guy at times. And like, none of mine is shit in his background because I have all the same shit. But you have to be a bad guy to be a father. You have to have the ability to say no, or that's fucking stupid.
I agree with you.
I remember the times when if a father had this type of shit, it would all be in the garage. But
Yeah, but to bring up the labor issue, how many motherfuckers have a real garage nowadays?
fuck, you're right.
It's like, yo,
I didn't even think about that.
yeah, like, and even if you have a garage, like, you probably have fucking, like, your tools or your fucking lawnmower in it, all that type of shit, for taking care of your fucking house. Like, that's what you're supposed to have in a garage, is like your stuff for taking care of your car and your house and your lawn, and, your implements for working, like, in your house and things of this nature. But yeah, like, yo, this dude, white people are such a goddamn disappointment. Really are. Let's keep going.
To it, and it's a community, and she's like met a lot of interesting people her age that are into cosplay and stuff like she is. But even if you only have 1,000 followers, you can have a video that gets circulated to like-minded people through this algorithm, and they can be viewed hundreds of thousands of times. Typically, you think of views being associated directly with like how many followers do you have. On TikTok, it doesn't quite work like that. So there's a really great article on the Statesman, the New Statesman rather, called "How the Alt-Right is Pivoting to TikTok." And the way they're doing it is by putting up memes and little scenes that masquerade as this, kind of more traditional TikTok content, usually comedy or little skits, and having it use veiled language that promotes racist, xenophobic, or homophobic content.
Okay, this is bothering me, so I'm going to go ahead and
man.
say it before
Go
anything else.
Go ahead.
He has multiple screens, and he has probably one of his webcams mounted on one of the screens.
Yes.
The basic bullshit you can do is make sure that you put the webcam on the screen that you look at most of the time. I'm done.
Okay, let me say this, right? Like, as kids, right? We would sit out inside of a fat person's house and make fun of them through the window until they fucking ran outside crying and screaming at you or tried to commit suicide, right? Because we were savages, right? And this is what kids do. They're savages. They're supposed to fucking say these things. They're supposed to be assholes. They're learning social situations, right? And the alt-right isn't pivoting to fucking TikTok. Yo, Jesus Christ. Like, there isn't even an alt-right anymore. When's the last time we've seen an alt-right person?
Dance on TikTok.
I've
never seen the Hitler dance on fucking TikTok.
Have you ever seen an alt-right person? When's the last time you saw one?
Okay,
outside the internet? Never.
No, I mean in general. When's the last time you saw a fucking alt-right person on the internet?
Okay, do you mean like alt-right as in like what Richard Spencer coined the term as, or are you talking about what alt-right was before like the mainstream media latched on that term?
Legit alt-right. Alt-right's just one of those new coin phrases they use to call anyone who disagrees with them, like white supremacist, Nazi, racist. It's just a coin word they use now. I'm talking about I'm like legit alt-right.
Right.
Like, again, when is the last time you've seen an alt-right person? I mean, maybe Super.
Literally Richard Spencer.
Yeah.
Literally Richard Spencer.
Yo, I feel you. That is the last one I've seen.
He endorsed Biden unironically.
I feel you. Right. I have not seen an alt-right person in forever. Like, forever.
Yeah.
Like, they don't even exist anymore. It's not even a fucking thing.
Right. And even when it was a thing, a lot of the people who called themselves alt-right, they meant alternative right. And I'm just going to break this down explicitly. They meant that they were on the right wing, but they weren't fucking neocons. So that's anything from Ron Paul to Donald Trump.
Yo,
it goes farther than that. It's anything that's central right nowadays.
Yo, I have no idea. Like, I haven't seen an alt-right person in forever. Like, they don't exist anymore.
It's a toxic term at this point. And anyone who could have actually just, planted the flag and said, no, all these faggots aren't actually alt-right, they just gave up because the mainstream media literally gave airtime to Richard Spencer and let him get punched in the face and just let him claim the term.
Yo, it's like a Kekistani. When's the last time you've seen a Kekistani? Like, yo, that shit died with Kekistanis.
Yeah, I do have a Kekistan flag, but it's folded up and stored away.
I don't have a Kekistan flag, though I do have a bunch of memes, you know what I'm saying, that I use every once in a while. You know what I mean? I like the Clown World meme. Does that make we're all right? Is that where we are? Are we all right because we like the Clown World meme?
Yes. If so, then I'm all right.
Yes.
Because, like, my status on Discord is literally a clown face and laughing.
All right, let's keep going.
And it's harder for the mods to grab. And I think it's fascinating. And also places like Instagram, where a lot of kind of alt-right memes are shared, things like with Pepe the Frog, that are like a little harder to scrub for. They're a little harder to detect because it's not overtly hate speech, but it is painting a picture of like a mindset. Another article.
Another article he read on Vice explains everything you need to know about this guy.
Yeah, look. This channel is called The Stuff They Don't Want You to Know.
Vice is literally Mockingbird Media.
Yeah, look. This channel is called Stuff They Don't Want You to Know. Does that bother anybody else?
No, it bothers me quite a bit because he's just repeating the narrative that's constantly pushed of this white supremacist boogeyman, which really doesn't exist because most people of all races just want a stable fucking job, a decent enough house, a happy family life, and be left the fuck alone.
I agree with you.
You're not wrong.
I agree with
Not
you.
wrong at all.
Like
That
it's
shit,
it's just
I just tell.
I don't know.
And to bring up this credentials of this guy, before I start ripping him a new asshole, and I normally don't do this, you think this guy has his kid in his home full time? There's a woman in the background there.
Maybe.
Because that's a legit question. If I'm asking, I would not allow my daughter on fucking Instagram. I would not allow my daughter on fucking TikTok. Nor would I be concerned about my daughter, who's 12, fucking coming in contact with the likes of 4chan and shit. Like, if you remember back in the day, Tom, if someone, like, if an adult didn't want you to come buy something, what did they do? They regulated your media.
I remember my mom used to take the fucking TV cord with her.
Exactly.
You know, like I wasn't, I wasn't allowed to have a beeper, which is what we had back in the day. Just dating myself a little bit here. like I wasn't allowed to have a pager, right? I wasn't allowed to have a fucking cell. Cell phones didn't become a thing until I was grown, right? But like, I wasn't allowed online. Like there was none of this nonsense. Like, I don't understand what this is. Like, I don't.
Well, basically, this is a fucking soy boy saying that his job as a father is not to regulate the media his children come in contact with, but the corporation's job to do it.
Yeah, this is the stuff they want you to know, as I said. Let's keep going. It's so disappointing.
I read on Vice called How Alt-Right Memes Are Indoctrinating Generation Z. It's because it creates this thing, this system, this cycle, where if like a kid sees a meme that's in this style with the Pepe the Frog, maybe they share it, but then maybe they get called out for it. And what does that lead to? That leads to shame. That leads to, and what does shame lead to often? Anger, resentment of being told what to think, being told, what to share. And so that cycle then can bring these Gen Z kids deeper into the cycle of indoctrination, because they've been called out and they feel threatened, and it just makes them double down. So it's really interesting. I actually was texting my daughter, have you seen racist content on TikTok? And she said mainly in response to other people's content, which would be like people of color, cosplayers of color. That's her thing. She's all about this cosplay anime stuff. So she says occasionally she'll see response videos that people will do that are like making fun of or demeaning or trying to humiliate cosplayers of color or non-binary or what have you. And because
literally the stuff they want you to know.
Yeah, and
help me out here, bro. Help me out. I'm at a loss for words with how just cringy and terrible this channel has become.
right. First of all, like, this is gonna be a little bit spicy of a take here, but white people or pale-skinned people can play other pale-skinned people as far as cosplay goes, because you're trying to represent a 2D image. So, like, race isn't nearly as important as literal skin color. and Japanese people are just factually the same skin color as white people. Like, you can be mad at that all you want, but
I'm gonna say something.
Mediterranean-
I'm gonna say something kind of racist here. They're kind of
Go
yellow.
for it.
They're kind of yellow, nigga. They're not really. You know what I'm saying? Like white.
You're not wrong, but if you're talking about like literally the color of the anime person and the color of the white person, then it's approximately the same, right?
Okay.
And you're going to see about the same with Japanese people, but not because they're actually naturally that skin color, but because Japanese people are the number one people who use skin whitening products. They bleach their fucking skin. This is a well known thing. Like, Asian people have been known to cause burns to their skin because they have skin products that literally have bleach in them. Because, well, they're still back on that 18th century bullshit where, if you are someone who can stay inside, that means you're a wealthy person. I'm going to go one step further here and say all cosplay at some level is a little bit fetishistic. And kids should not be dealing with that unless they are directly supervised by parents.
Yeah, I'll be real with you, man. Like, yo, I don't know dick about cosplay, right? But I'll be honest, I'm not super comfortable with my kids trying to be somebody else, right? Short of like, you know what I mean, an athlete, which, you know what I mean, that means like they're going to go train and try to make themselves better, but they're not going to really try to be that athlete. They're going to try and do the feats that athlete does, right? And I'm cool with that, but I am absolutely not cool with my kids attempting to be, you know what I mean, like whatever nonsense, you know what I mean, that these fucking people are doing in this anime or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely feel you there. There is some overlap. Like, what you'll see a lot of the time is that there are people who dress up as Naruto or whatever, but the thing is there are enough of the ninjas from that same village that you can play it off like the same as you'd be saying, that guy wants to be like somebody from that team. So there is some overlap, but in general you're not wrong.
Yeah, I'm like for me, like my baby mom knows better than to ever color my kid's hair, right? Like, because it's disrespect. Like, in my family, it's seen as disrespectful trying to change who you are as a person because of your ancestry and your heritage, right? You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to disrespect your family members and the people who came before you by changing who you are as a person, right? And changing your looks. That's a really big thing in my fucking culture as far as stuff's concerned.
I assume that's outside of like Halloween or something like that.
Oh yeah, Halloween's a different thing. Like, you dress up like a monster or mummy or whatever the fuck you're gonna do. You know what I mean? Like, I was a ninja one year. I was a fucking crayon, a pumpkin, like whatever. You know, and we all did things on, you know what I mean, Thanksgiving. I usually dress up as a gorilla at this point. You know what I mean? Just because, like, I like the gorilla. Yeah, it's easy, and I like the costume. You know, I can't do it with the kids because they get scared, but whatever. You know, usually I don't dress up for Halloween anymore because I'm a grown adult and I got shit to do, and I'm usually working on fucking Halloween or on trick or treat night because they hold it on Thursdays out here rather than doing it on Halloween itself because of traffic, right? But that's a community level thing that has nothing to do with, like, you know what I mean, whatever. All right, let's keep going.
And because it's such a tight-knit community, they come to each other's aid, they back each other up, they get those people kicked. But she does see it, and I don't know, it's scary because the internet is so powerful, information is so powerful, and it's such a tender age for a lot of these kids, especially if they're in bad home situations, and this is like, giving them some kind of solace or some kind of sense of community. It's scary, and it's the whole deep platforming conversation. It does seem that works. It seems like when these groups, like Stormfront, for example, was deplatformed, and that GoDaddy, the popular web serving provider, took away their account. And they got less of a reach as a result. So deplatforming does work. Even if it's a temporary ban, it means people will think twice before sharing stuff like that.
Okay, so
I mean, like, here's the thing. Like, I don't like racists, right? Everybody knows this. I fucking, like, I can't stand all that racist bullshit, and I don't put that shit out there in, you know what I mean, in my sphere. Like, you'll never see me spouting racist nonsense. Like, every once in a while, I'm disappointed or whatever. Like, you know, and like, I'll bitch about white folks because, you know what I mean, I am one. But, like, I don't spout racist shit, and I don't support the Daily Stormer, but I support free speech. Like, how is this possible that this channel in particular, this one in particular, does not support free speech?
I'll tell you how. It's because they found a niche and they keep hitting it, and
they're losing views. Like, their whole comment section is full of people like me.
I guarantee you that is the case, but I also guarantee you that these people are on the take from someone. Like, this dude seems like a mundane Matt when he was on the backslide because YouTube had just guaranteed him ad revenue as long as he got, you know, however many thousand views, right?
Not like, yo, this channel legitimately, all right, this used to be a bigger channel and they took a break, and I'm guessing they came back with new dudes. I don't know, but like, legit, they're like, they're not getting the views is where I am.
Yeah, definitely they're not getting the views, but you know, you get past a certain threshold and you will still get a certain amount of money.
It's more about bending the knee than standing up, because it's easier for most people just to bend the knee.
You're not wrong, and you know, I'm getting serious mundane Matt vibes from this dude. I would not be surprised if his kid isn't his kid.
All right, let me tell you like this. They dropped the video yesterday, right? It's called COVID-19 Relief in UFOs. They got 4.7 thousand views on a channel with 600,000 subscribers.
That is literally unbelievable. I don't believe that they still have that sub count.
Like, yo, that's their sub count, 593,000 subscribers. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. I know that's what that says, but I'm saying it's like that one bitch who quote unquote lived in a van who got a bunch of people signed up to sub for her when they never had even seen the channel before.
I'm saying, like, yo, no, but they're living off of what they used to be. As I said, you remember back in the day when, like, we used to watch a channel and it was cool, right? And like now they're just leftist pieces of fucking human garbage. They're not even leftists. Like, cause at least like, yo, Jimmy Dore's a leftist and he's like, yo, free speech, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, rights, privileges, liberty. You know what I mean? That's left wing ideology. You know what I'm saying? This here is just statist.
You're not wrong. I mean, I fucking gave money to Jimmy Dore right after the election, and he read my super chat, and it was something to the extent of, like, y'all know you're next, right? And he agreed with it, because I think him, of all people, realized that, you know...
Oh, he knows. He knows. He knows they're coming for him. Like, yo, but, like, legitimately, like, this isn't even progressive. Like, this isn't any of that shit. This is statist. It's fucking horrid. Let's keep rocking though, man. Fuck, we'll finish this shit up.
That got them banned because people use social media for all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's such a huge part of people's day-to-day lives that nobody wants to lose that privilege. So it does work, and I'm all for it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
There's some really interesting stuff coming out of Pew Research and a couple other places that are really looking at millennials and Gen Z and comparing the two and just kind of their general temperament about a lot of things. And one commonality that appears to be increasing is questioning the regularly fed narrative in anything. So what is the official story? Well, I, as an individual, would choose to look for an alternative to that official story. That I don't know. I'm kind of proud of that. Maybe we had a small hand in that. I don't know. But that feels like a good move, right? To be able to think critically about anything, even if it's the official story that's being told to you. The problem is that it makes each individual a little more susceptible to something that is alternative, right? Like vastly alternative, perhaps maybe a little on the edge or on the fringe. So it does seem like the younger people who are using newer, applications, newer platforms may be looking for a different kind of story and way more interested in that than anything that you'd see just on the news.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I kind of like that. I'll be
Yeah,
honest. I kind of like that. That wasn't a terrible. Like he didn't go, yeah, man, we need to ban all these racist. Like
that's fair enough. But if you have a channel that's talking about magic, UFOs, randonauts, and zodiac bullshit, like you gotta understand that as crazy as QAnon is, they technically are more grounded than the shit you're spouting off. Because, like, I'm probably not going to get any friends from saying this. If you don't think that powerful people have, cabals of pedophiles, then you're absolutely stupid. Now, you can definitely dispute. You can dispute how much influence
this will never
that
go
they
on
have.
YouTube. I'll be real. This will never go on fucking YouTube. This is gonna be a Rumble exclusive, people. Legit.
Like you can dispute how much influence they have and how pervasive it is, and that's definitely a conversation that needs to be had. But if you don't think that people who are in power do horrid shit to keep their power, then you're just dumb.
It's like I feel where you are. I do. You know what I mean? I completely agree with you. I don't know how the fuck we got there, right? From the conversation we were having about this shit. Again, I don't know how the fuck it is like pedophilia ties into keeping your power. And I don't want to get into that, to be honest with you. I like we're not this video is long enough already. We don't need to go into the whole Pizzagate mentality. I kind of want to see, because this dude here on the left-hand side, the top left, he's the one who originally was the guy who used to speak on fucking the original videos. So like, I kind of want to see what he has to say. I haven't even watched this video yet, so this is all like just fresh to me. Like I watched about like 2 minutes of it, and I was like, okay, well, it looks like we're gonna have some fun. Went to the comment section immediately. I'm gonna murder you. Like I said, I'm gonna react to this immediately, right? And I went and started trying to find somebody, and then like I went on Insomnus, and I was like, all right, I'm bored. Fuck it, I'm gonna come over here. Let's talk to TK and see if this nigga wants to do it. Let's rock though.
Yeah, because people want to. I think that's well said, Matt. One thing you might notice, this happens in friend groups a lot too, is that people like to be Promethean. We want to be the person who figures the truth out. We want to be the person who brings the light. You've probably had those conversations where people are in a contest to be the person who knows the thing. That's another iteration of this. I've been doing some digging into this, and Amy, I really appreciate your letter here, because this is something that warrants an episode. There's some really interesting research coming out of the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. They started by breadcrumbing comments on what they called alt-light videos, which could be gaming sources. Like, let's say, for instance, and this is not to...
Is it wrong, like, for me to stand here and go, like, man, listen, like, why is a channel that says it's the stuff that they don't want you to know, and they're quoting the Swiss Federal Technical Institute?
I was about to say something similar.
You're not wrong at all.
Like, That is exactly what they would want you to know. Like, legitimate.
Like, if you were telling people shit that they didn't want you to know, you would be quoting from books that have gotten people up in jail, like Irwin Schiff, just as an example.
Yo, I'm with you. I'm with you. I like where you're going with this. Keep going. Keep going, nigga. Keep going. We're done. God damn it. I was trying to feed you something there, man. It's like, yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Like, yeah. But I feel you. Like, yo, you would, like, I was thinking the same thing. Like, it was stuff we didn't want you to know. It would be like Freedom of Information Act found out, or, you know what I mean, like declassified fucking Pentagon documents. Or like maybe like, you know, for instance, you would read from, I don't know, the Afghanistan papers that nobody else read but me. Like, I was like, yo, why is not everybody upset about this the way I am? Like, I feel like you should all be very angry about the fact that they have no plan and they don't know what they're doing, right? Like, these should be things that you are immediately covering because it's what you're supposed to do. And this is what your fucking platform is for, not covering why we should take away the freedom of speech of Americans because the fucking government doesn't fucking want them to have it. Like, oh, I fucking hate these people so fucking much. Go ahead, man. Yo, Ed, TK, somebody fucking help me out.
I was more getting at the fact that, you know, even more contemporary shit, like why you should not pay income tax.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
I agree with you.
Yeah, but what about our roads? What about our roads, though?
Yo, tolls.
Yeah,
Did you know the United States didn't build its first road until like 70 years after it was motherfucking formed? Right? Before that, it was all private citizens building roads and bridges.
Yeah. And they were probably upkept better, too.
Yeah, that's not a joke. But, like, the income tax is literally unconstitutional, which is why I laugh at people who say that, you know, this last election was not constitutional, since this isn't going to be on YouTube anyway. Anyone who...
Yeah, I mean, you already brought up Pizzagate. Go the whole way with it, nigga. Come on. He's like, everything we can get banned for, we're going to get banned for. Like, you want to start...
Bust out the lizard pedophiles.
Let's, you want to talk about the Jews while we're here? We'll address the JQ while we're at it.
Hey, I will defend to my last breath 10% of the Jews. 90% of them, fuck them. But 10% I will die for.
There we go. We got the equation figured out. Jesus Christ. Just the answer to the fucking JQ. 90%. Drafty. There were some drafty gas chambers. Jesus fucking Christ. God damn it.
We want those wooden doors, though.
You want to just break out the Hitler did nothing wrong on this one? Is that where we're going with this?
Well, you know what? Let's go there for a second.
No, I'm done. Fucking, we're gonna keep going with this fucking video. God damn it, you son of a bitch! Trying your best to get me banned off of all platforms.
A real example. Let's say there's a Magic the Gathering channel.
Look,
the person or the personalities hosting that are also sort of sliding in some alt-light stuff, right? That's just a general term for something that might be alternative to the official narrative people hear.
Nick, what?
No,
hang on a second. Hang on a second. Hang on 1 second here, bro. Hang on 1 second. Wait a minute.
Sargon of Akkad.
Wait, I want to hear that. I want to hear that.
Official narrative people hear. Well, what this research found after are also sort of sliding in some alt-light stuff, right? That's just a general term for something that might be alternative to the official narrative people hear. Well, what this...
So your fucking channel.
That's what I was listening for. I was like, hang on, let me make sure I heard this nigga right. Like, I listened to it 3 times just to make sure I knew what he was saying, right? Like, so this is an official narrative channel.
Yeah, yeah. And he is against people like Soygon of a Cuck and Candace Owens because they are too radical.
Well, they're not official
And
narrative.
they're basic civic nationalists.
Again, they're not official narrative approved. Okay.
The stepfather is actually an imperialist, but yeah, same thing.
Let's keep going. Swear to God.
What this research found after analyzing 3,300,000 videos on 350 different YouTube channels, this was a system.
Hang on a minute.
Literally
the
quoting the ADL.
Wait a minute. Hang on, man. I'll get that number again from this nigga. Hang on a second.
Of people here. Well, what this research found after analyzing 3,300,000 videos on 350 different YouTube channels.
What is 3,300,000? 3.3 million?
No idea.
TK MAOU.
Something like
my math check out there. 3,300,000.
Yeah, that's 33 million.
That's
And
no. That's
also
three. That's
worth-
3.3 million.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that he just flashed several white supremacist hand gestures there.
Yo. This nigga's part of the Aryan Nation and shit. Let's keep going.
The different YouTube channels. This was a system designed by the Anti-Defamation League. What they found is that they could trace the authors of 72 million comments on about 2 million videos between May and July of a single year.
Did that math add up for any of y'all?
No.
Remotely, but just like as at a glance, more than anything.
3,300,000 is 3.3 million, and then they went with 72 million.
Yeah. They had 72 million comments on those 3.3 million. So basically they had roughly 2.1 comments per video that they were looking at.
No. It'd be 3.3 million, so that would have ended up being like around 25.2 million or 25.2 comments per video.
Something like that. And I think you on a bad day get like 30 comments on your videos when you have absolutely no reach.
Yeah, when YouTube doesn't like me that day, when they're PMSing and shit.
Right. So you can safely say that they are cherry picking all the fuck.
Yeah, they don't know what they're fucking retarded.
MIT Technology Review, and they found that more than 26% of people who commented on stuff that was like a little bit off kilter tended to drift over to further extremes in other videos. And the algorithm of YouTube specifically would start to tilt the scales as people searched for specific keywords. This work was presented at the 2020 Conference on Fairness, Accountability, and Transparency in Barcelona. But the problem is, with the research these folks found, is they're not sure exactly how this process, this pipeline works, at least the YouTube piece of it, because YouTube restricts access to recommendation data. It's their secret sauce. And if you have experience on the creator side of YouTube, like Matt and I have done a lot with this, you're well aware of how ardently YouTube protects that information because they don't want people to be able to radically game and break the system. But the bills coming due, that pipeline thing it is real. Amy, it's not just something that it's not something that your daughter made up. It is very much a real thing. There's quantitative data behind it, and it bears further investigation. I would love to make this an episode. Thank you so much for writing to us.
All right, so are we forgetting that the Pareto distribution is a thing? Which, just for the uninitiated,
don't tell them the secret. Don't tell them that we know how to fucking advertise.
Right, like
they're fucking retarded. Like,
so 80% of outputs come from 20% of inputs. So if you look at any particular set of comments, then you're going to see most of the comments come from about 1/5 of the people. Roughly speaking, you can actually fit it more to like in factorial and all that bullshit, but we're not getting that involved here. Basically, most comments come from like a minority of people. And so that means a minority of people are actually consuming most of the content. So, like, most people understand that if they've played, for example, an online video game, because they've seen what is called a whale, which is someone who dumps like their whole paycheck into paid items on like fucking mafia on Facebook, and they just dominate everyone else, right? So that's the same type of concept with Facebook. Like about 1/5 of people just watch a million fucking videos and they comment on every single one of them. And when you watch that many videos, they're going to watch everything from Ben Shapiro to Andrew Anglin. That's just what's going to happen because they need more content because that is their fucking addiction.
You're not wrong. Legit, you're not wrong. But
how come
what up?
This standard is never applied to the left? I don't watch Jimmy Dore and go straight to Antifa videos afterwards. And just like I won't like watch.
Well, they try that, but the thing is here's the thing: left wingers aren't likable, right? They're just not likable people in general. They're not charismatic. Nobody likes them. Like, have you ever listened to Sam Cedar before?
It sounds familiar.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Here, TK Mouse fucking sound. That's the sounds you make when you think about Sam Cedar, right? Like, because I went to one of his videos after, the Jimmy Dore video because it was recommended to me, right? Or Mana Talk, right? Or something like this. And, like, legit, they're fucking trash. They're just really, really bad. Like, they're fucking awful. And you can't like them. As people, like just in general. But the problem is like the right wingers who make it, whoever it is, they're likable, they're charismatic, they're cool, right? And they're just in general all right people. That's the problem with the left. That's why it doesn't happen with the left. Like Jimmy Dore is probably the only person on the left, and maybe Kyle Kulinski, because Kyle Kulinski's like he's a different, like you have to be that type of person to understand who he is. Because you have to be from the East Coast to like Kyle Kulinski in general, right?
I used to like Kyle Kulinski, but I could not watch him anymore after watching AIU, which Atheism is Unstoppable, for you guys who aren't in the know there. He called him a lesbian softball coach. And then ever since then, every time I see him, that's the only thing I can think about. And I just can't take him seriously. So I had to fucking stop. I like AIU destroyed him with that one sentence. And he couldn't do that to anyone else. And that's all I've got to say about that.
Yeah, it's kind of where it's at, right? It's just like these people aren't likable, right? So like you don't end up with left-wing ideologies because like number two, their ideologies are trash, right? Like if you're listening to somebody like say, oh, how about if you're listening to like Sargon of Akkad, right? Because like he's basically as middle ground as you're gonna get between the two, right? Between the left and the right that are like fucking, like is like on the each side of the spectrum, right? The closest you're going to get is Sargon of Akkad. He's in the fucking middle between the two of them. You tend not to go left when you listen to fucking Sargon because Sargon's remotely likable, right? And like you can go a little bit further left in Sargon and listen to some of that stuff because like there's some British guys who are all right. But then when you go to the right, though, there's like all types of cool shit, and they're playing, they're playing video games, and they're fun, and they're talking about whatever, and they're just in general cool people and awesome people to talk to, and people who are talking about shit that you want to listen to. Like you go from Sargon of Akkad to Jordan Peterson to Eric Weinstein, maybe, right? And then like you go to Joe Rogan, and from Joe Rogan you end up, towards like Revenge of the Sis. And like,
Right.
yeah, and like you like all those guys. They're all fucking cool, right? But like you're not gonna go from, fucking Sargon of Akkad to, Sam Cedar or David Packman. You know what I mean? Because just David Packman is unlikable.
The only thing that I'm going to push back on there is that you'd be right about Sargon if you were talking about him in like 2015, 2016. But what's happened since then, and I just know this because I actually do follow his content, he actually comes down hard on actual morals now. And ever since then, he's been creeping to the right, and I'd probably say he's to the right of Mersh at this point.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yo, I don't really know where, like, I don't know where to place Mersh.
I definitely feel you, but I would say at least philosophically, I would put him to the right of Mersh.
Like, yo,
because like he legitimately advocates stoicism. And stoicism it would be considered far, far right at this point.
I mean, but like Mersh, how do I put this? Mersh will get fucking J-woke and shit. You know what I mean? Like, and then like, he'll talk about repealing the 19th and all these type of things, which Sargon would never fucking say.
You're not wrong, but you're talking about like singular issues that are memes versus like a consistent ideology.
I feel you. Like, and that's why I can't really place Mersh because he doesn't really have like a fucking consistent ideology like that. Like he doesn't have like something where you can go, oh yeah, I know where he stands on this issue because like, depending on who he's making fun of, like he'll switch his ideology as a whole. He's more of an entertainer, and I don't know where Sargon is anymore. I mean, I guess like
he's literally a stoic.
All right. Well, then, I mean, I guess Jordan Peterson would be in the middle then. I mean, as far as middle ground concerned. And they consider him Hitler, which is fucking retarded. So, he's about as far away from Hitler as you're going to come. Like, legitimately.
Yeah. Jordan Peterson literally has communist propaganda in his house. Like, the paintings and bullshit. Like, I don't know how far left you have to be to do that. And let's be real here. Jordan Peterson is not a thing anymore. Like, he is a shadow of his former self because he got hooked on benzos. And don't do benzos, people. They will fuck you up. If you need if you need any evidence of that, just look at Jordan Peterson. Look at him like in 2018 giving lectures versus now giving lectures, and you will see what benzos will do to people. It's not pretty.
Yeah, benzos will fuck you up. But like, yo, look, man, all right, it's been an hour and 15 minutes. We're about to shut this off. TK, thank you for coming and helping out. Ed, my nigga.
No problem, man.
Yo, it's appreciated.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah. No,
like I just want to have a chance to have Ed say something. You know what I mean? Yo, but in the meantime, you know that there's Tom Peace and Pnoid News. You know that they'll fucking subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Come to the Discord. All the links will be in the description. Hit that Patreon link. Hit that Streamlabs. You know all the things. Whatever, man. You know how it works. Yeah, I'm fucking out. Peace.